Good day, Scoopers, I am your teacher Dagz. Let's explore Earth science more in our day 2 of learning. Let's move around the Earth as we tackle how plate tectonics occur. If you are ready, I am super ready, so let's get the ball rolling. Before we officially start our next lesson, let us have a short recap. It's our review time. Do you still remember our very first lesson? Are you sure? I am glad to know that you do. Therefore, our review will be just a piece of cake. Listen to me as I explain the mechanics of the game. Our game is super simple. I will say a statement or ask a question. All you need to do is to identify which I am pertaining to. You have two options, A or B. After I give the options, a 5-second timer will run. It means that the time is up. And by that time, I am going to reveal the answer. Do not ever cheat. Be honest. If you get the answer right, that will sound so good. If you do not pick the correct answer, you had better have your self-study time a little longer. Okay. If everything is clear, let's start this game. My students look so confident and competitive right now. Good luck, Sam and Chi. Let us have the first question now. Number 1. Which I am pertaining to, these are called as the segments or pieces of the Earth lithosphere. Is it A. Plates, or B. Crust? The correct answer is A. Plates. Did you get it right? Number 2. It is the shaking or trembling of the ground. Is it A. Epicenter, or B. Earthquake? Of course. You are right. It is earthquake. Letter B. Because epicenter is the origin of an earthquake. Question number 3. What is the method done by scientists to locate the origin or the epicenter of an earthquake? Is it A. Triangular method, or B. Triangulation method? Your 5 seconds start now. That's correct. The answer is triangulation method. This method uses 3 seismic recording stations to locate the earthquake epicenter. When do scientists apply triangulation method? Is it A. Before an earthquake, or B. After an earthquake? Great. It is applied after an earthquake has occurred. No method can know any future earthquakes. Number 5. Which layer of the Earth is covered by the lithosphere? Is it A. the crust and the uppermost part of the mantle, or B. the crust and the bottom part of the mantle? Yes, that is definitely correct. The lithosphere covers the crust and the uppermost or topmost part of the mantle. So, the right letter is A. For our last question, which kind of crust is denser than the other? Is it A. continental crust, or B. oceanic crust? For the last item, the correct answer is B. Oceanic crust. It is denser because it is mainly composed of basalt, a kind of heavy sediments or rock. Wow! Great job, kids! I think that you are 100% ready to learn new things. We have 4 objectives for today's lesson. Our first objective is to identify the role of plate boundaries. Second objective is to differentiate the major plates, minor plates and microplates from each other. Our third objective is to tell what happens along the plate boundaries. The last objective of today's lesson is to locate the recorded epicenters, active volcanoes, and major mountain belts on a plate tectonic map. What word can you form using these letters? Can you guess it? This word will be one of the main targets of today's lesson. Do you have any idea now? Exactly. We have got here B O U N D A R I E S. Boundaries. As you already know, plate boundaries are the edges of each tectonic plate. Plate boundaries are margins that divide the Earth's lithosphere into several segments. And on this map, the red lines represent the boundaries of the plates. Plate boundaries make us know and identify the plates on the plate tectonic map. On this map, we can see our country's plate, the Philippine plate, Australian plate, Pacific plate, the biggest plate among others, Juan de Fuca, Cocos plate, Nazca plate, the North American plate, Eurasian plate that carries both the continents of Europe and Asia. Below Eurasia there are the plates of India and Arabian, which are attached to the African plate. The Caribbean plate on top of the South American plate, under which there is Scotia plate, an Antarctic plate which is located at south, and the coldest plate among all plates. All these plates are categorized as either major, minor, or micro plate. The plates are categorized either major plate, minor plate, or micro plate. Major plates are the biggest plates on the tectonic map. A major plates must have an area of at least 20 million square kilometer. The 7 major plates of the planet are the Pacific plate, the North American plate, the Eurasian plate, the African plate, the Antarctic plate, the Indo-Australian plate, and the South American plate. The second classification of plates is the minor plates. Minor plates are definitely smaller than the major plates. A minor plate is any plate with an area less than 20 million square kilometer but greater than 1 million kilometer. Some examples of minor plates are Nazca plate, Arabian plate, Caribbean plate, Cocos plate, Scotia plate, Juan de Fuca plate, and the Philippine plate. The last classification of plates is the microplates. There are many microplates in the world, but they are too small. Microplates only covers a small area, that is why they are not usually shown on the tectonic map. A microplate covers an area less than 1 million square kilometer. 2 examples of microplates are found in the Philippines. The Mariana Plate, which is a small tectonic plate west of the Marianas Trench, and the Philippine Mobile Belt, which is also called as Philippine Microplate. The Philippine Mobile Belt is a complex portion of the tectonic boundary between Eurasian and the Philippine Sea Plate. It comprises most of the country of the Philippines. Exactly. The plates are categorized according to how big their area is. Major plates have got the biggest area, so that in our study we will give more information about them. The 7 biggest plates according to their sizes are the Pacific Plate, North American Plate, the Eurasian Plate, the African Plate, the Antarctic Plate, the Australian Plate, and the South American Plate. Here are the 7 major plates according to their area. The biggest plate, Pacific Plate, has an area of 103,300,000 square kilometers, followed by the North American Plate that measures 75,900,000 square kilometers. Then the plate that carries both the continents of Europe and Asia, the Eurasian Plate, that is 67,800,000 square kilometers. The 4th biggest plate is the African Plate with a total area of 61,300,000 square kilometers. After that is the Antarctic Plate, which measures 60,900,000 square kilometers. The 6th on the list is the Australian Plate, which area is 47 million square kilometers. The last and the smallest major plate is the South American Plate, covers 43,600,000 square kilometers. The 7 major plates cover 90% of the entire tectonic map. Tectonic plates and continents are 2 different things. Except for the Pacific Plate, which carries ocean, all the other 6 major plates carries the continents. For you to picture it out clearly, on this map, these are the plates. And the brown lines cover these land mass or the continents. The continents are in plates. We have here the lists of both tectonic plates and continents based on their area, starting from the biggest down to the smallest. Remember that continents are embedded in the plates that only cover the landmass area, while the plates cover both continental and oceanic regions. Continents are located inside the plates, surrounded by the plate boundaries. Watch this and observe what happens along the plate boundaries. This video shows that earthquakes often happen along the plate boundaries. Aside from that, there are many active volcanoes along the plate boundaries. The violet lines represent the recorded earthquake epicenters in the past. And the red dots shows where the active volcanoes of the world are. Do not forget this. Most of the recorded earthquake epicenters are sited along the plate boundaries, and most of the active volcanoes are located along the plate boundaries. Exactly. Tremblings usually happen along the boundaries. To know the causes of these shaking, let's continue our lesson. The plates usually move at about the same speed that your fingernails grow. Earthquakes usually occur where two plates are running into each other or sliding past each other. For that reason, most earthquakes occur along the edge of the oceanic and continental plates. Most earthquakes happen at or near the boundaries between Earth's tectonic plates because that is where there is usually a large concentration of faults. Some fault cracks through the Earth because of the stress and strain of the moving plates. Movement along those faults can also cause earthquakes. Not only tremblings happen along the boundaries, many volcanic eruptions occur there too. Most active volcanoes are sited along the plate boundaries. The part in which there is a great concentration of volcanoes is the Pacific Ring of Fire. 70% of the active volcanoes of the world is found in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Watch this news clip of Channel News Asia, the CNA, to get a little idea of what is happening along the Pacific Ring of Fire.
Has been a difficult year indeed for Indonesia with regard to natural disasters. As we mentioned there, Indonesia has several active volcanoes and is prone to earthquakes. It lies on the Ring of Fire, an arc of volcanoes and fault lines in the basin of the Pacific Ocean. This year, the larger Southeast Asia region was rocked by a number of natural disasters. Many were caused by seismic activity in the Pacific Ring of Fire. The seemingly increased activity along that fault line has raised fears of even bigger disasters, as Dawn Tan explains.
Earth's fury, in the form of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, resulted in some of the worst disasters this year, especially in a region called the Ring of Fire. It's a chain of volcanoes and areas of seismic activity around the edges of the Pacific Ocean. Stretching some 40,000 kilometers, it starts in South America, runs along the North American coast, across and down through Japan, then into New Zealand. This zone contains more than 3/4 of the world's active volcanoes. It's where the vast majority of all earthquakes happen and where two of the Earth's huge tectonic plates meet. The Ring of Fire made its presence felt throughout 2018. In January, Mount Mayon in the Philippines spewed lava and let out columns of ash for over a month. People living as far as 8 kilometers away from Mayon had to be evacuated. In May, Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupted, destroying more than 700 homes. Hot lava flowed into roads and residential areas. Hundreds of families fled to safer ground. And then there was the earthquake and tsunami which devastated Sulawesi, Indonesia. Waves of up to 6 meters crashed onto the island, wiping out entire coastal communities. More than 2,000 people died in that disaster. Tens of thousands more were injured or lost their homes. All these disasters have again stirred fears of the big one, an immensely powerful earthquake that would leave widespread destruction. The scientists have said that this level of activity along the Ring of Fire is not unusual.
Natural disasters like earthquakes, volcanic eruption, and even tsunamis are common among the countries located along the Pacific Ring of Fire. To have deeper understanding how and why these geologic events happen, you should not be absent in our future discussion. To get a ring and get updated, subscribe on this channel and hit the notification bell. I promise you will understand how volcanoes are formed and why tsunamis happen after an earthquake. However, for today let us talk about the place where these natural disasters commonly occur, the Pacific Ring of Fire. Watch and listen attentively because our country, the Philippines, is one of those 15 countries located at the Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ring of Fire is the place on Earth that experiences a lot of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. 90% of the seismic activities of the Earth happen here. 3/4 or 70% of the world active volcanoes, that has a total of 452, are situated in the Pacific Ring of Fire. As the map shows, the Ring of Fire is a major area around the Pacific Plate. The Ring of Fire is located along the boundaries of South American Plate, Nazca Plate, Cocos Plate, North American Plate, Eurasian Plate, the Philippine Plate, and Indo-Australian Plate. Some countries around the Pacific Ring of Fire are Chile, Mexico, the United States of America, Antarctica, Russia, Japan, the Philippines, Ecuador, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, Canada, Peru, Taiwan, Guatemala. These countries usually encounter earthquakes. Before we continue our discussion, let's watch this short clip. You will see how amazing landforms found on the planet because of plate boundaries. Volcanoes give up geothermal energy that we can use as natural energy source that can be converted into electricity. Land around volcanoes are good for farming too. These map shows the major mountain ranges of the world. Mountain ranges are group of high mountains usually found along the plate boundaries. Here are some of them and their location. The North American Rockies, the Andes, the Pyrenees, the Alps, the Himalayas. The Himalayas is where Mount Everest belongs. Mount Everest is the highest mountain above sea level with the elevation of 8,848 meters. It is located at the borders of Nepal and China. Let's show where the active volcanoes are, and where the major mountain belts located. Now, we notice that both these geologic features are situated along the boundaries. That is the end about discussion. But I want to make sure if you get the point or not. So let's have our challenge time. Our challenge is simple. All you need to do is to complete the sentences using the words found in the green box. You got 15 seconds in each set. After the lesson, I have learned that the plate boundaries are the edges of the segments of the lithosphere. The plates are classified into three. Major plates are the biggest plates and microplates are the smallest. Along the plate boundaries, geologic events like earthquakes happen usually. Also, there is a great concentration of volcanoes along the Ring of Fire. Mountain ranges like Andes, Alps, and Himalayas are also situated along the plate boundaries. Amazing! Good job, kids! I am happy that you have understood the lesson. Let's end today with this quotation: a boundary is not that at which something stops, but that from which something begins. By Martin Heidegger. Time flies, and that's our lesson for today. Class dismissed. See you next time, goodbye.